The crown, a symbol of power, of wisdom, of leadership. But the crown is not a guarantee of competence, nor is it a shield against the darker impulses of human nature. These are the stories of 10 kings who should never have worn the crown. Our journey begins in ancient Rome, a realm of emperors and gladiators. The grandeur of the Colosseum, the might of the legions, and the splendor of the Roman Senate painted a picture of a civilization at its zenith. Here in the 1st century AD, a young emperor named Caligula ascended to the throne. Born Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, he was the son of the beloved general Germanicus and the great-grandson of Augustus, Rome's first emperor. Initially, Caligula's reign held promise. The people of Rome rejoiced, believing that a new golden age was upon them. He was seen as a beacon of hope, a leader who would restore the glory of Rome. But this early popularity masked a darker nature. Behind the facade of benevolence there lurked a mind teetering on the edge of madness. He declared himself a living god, demanding to be worshipped alongside Jupiter and the other deities of the Roman pantheon, demanding absolute obedience and indulging in unimaginable cruelty. His whims became law, and those who defied him faced dire consequences. The treasury was squandered on lavish games and personal extravagances. Caligula's insatiable desire for luxury knew no bounds, and the coffers of Rome were drained to fund his excesses. Caligula's paranoia grew with each passing day. He saw enemies everywhere, even among his closest allies. His erratic behavior and violent outbursts alienated the Senate and the people. In 41 AD, after a mere 4 years on the throne, Caligula was assassinated by his own guards. The Praetorian Guard, once his protectors, turned against him in a desperate bid to save Rome from further descent into chaos. His reign of terror brought to a sudden and bloody end. The death of Caligula marked a turning point, a moment when Rome was forced to confront the fragility of its own power and the dangers of absolute rule. From ancient Rome we travel to England, where King John earned a place in history as one of the most reviled monarchs. Known for his treachery and cruelty, John's reign was marked by a series of disastrous decisions and relentless ambition. Ascending to the throne in 1199, John inherited a kingdom teetering on chaos. His older brother, Richard the Lionheart, had left the kingdom in a precarious state, drained of resources and embroiled in conflicts. John's inept handling of foreign affairs led to the loss of vast swathes of English territory in France. His military campaigns were poorly planned and executed, resulting in humiliating defeats and the erosion of English power on the continent. To finance his lifestyle and military ventures, John ruthlessly taxed his subjects. His heavy-handed approach to taxation caused widespread resentment among the nobility and commoners alike, leading to numerous revolts and uprisings. This culminated in the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, a document that sought to limit the king's power and protect the rights of his subjects. Though John agreed to the terms under duress, he had no intention of honouring them. Despite his forced acquiescence, John remained a tyrant, plunging England into civil war until his death in 1216. His legacy is one of tyranny and failure, a cautionary tale of the perils of absolute power and the enduring struggle for justice and liberty. We journey to medieval France, where Charles VI, known as Charles the Mad, reigned. Crowned at 11, Charles initially enjoyed peace and prosperity. However, bouts of madness soon took over. He experienced hallucinations, believing himself to be made of glass. Exploiting his fragile state, factions within the court vied for power. France descended into internal strife and external threats, culminating in the 100 Years' War. Our journey takes us to Russia, where Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, ruled. Ivan IV, born in 1530, was the first ruler to be crowned as Tsar of all Russia. His reign, which began in 1547, was a complex tapestry of triumph and tragedy, marked by both significant achievements and horrifying acts of cruelty. Ivan ascended to the throne in 1547. At just 16 years old, he was crowned with the monarch's cap, symbolizing his authority over the Russian lands. His early years as Tsar were filled with promise and potential. His early reign held promise, marked by military triumphs and reforms. Ivan expanded Russian territory through successful military campaigns, including the conquest of Kazan and Astrakhan. He also implemented significant reforms in government, law, and the military, aiming to centralize and strengthen his power. But the death of his wife in 1560 turned him into a tyrant. Anastasia Romanovna's death deeply affected Ivan, leading to a period of intense paranoia and cruelty. He began to see enemies everywhere, even among his closest advisors. He created the Oprichnina, a secret police force spreading fear and death. The Oprichnina was tasked with rooting out treason and dissent, but it often targeted innocent people, leading to widespread terror and suffering across the land. Ivan's reign of terror reached its zenith when he killed his own son in a fit of rage. This tragic event in 1581 is one of the most infamous moments of his rule, symbolizing the extent of his descent into madness and brutality. Even the Terrible died in 1584. His death marked the end of an era, but the scars of his reign were deeply etched into the fabric of Russian history. He left behind a legacy of great intellect and unimaginable cruelty. Ivan the Terrible remains a complex figure, remembered for his contributions to the Russian state as well as his ruthless and often irrational acts of violence. His reign is a stark reminder of the duality of power and the thin line between order and chaos. From Russia we journey back to the British Isles, where King George IV reigned. Ascending to the throne in 1820, George IV inherited a nation grappling with social and economic upheaval. Yet he indulged in a life of lavish excess. His extravagant spending and disinterest in his subjects earned him the nickname the Prince of Wales. Though his reign saw Britain navigate significant change, George IV's legacy is defined by his personal excesses. He remains a cautionary tale of a monarch losing touch with the people they serve. Our journey takes us to Bavaria, where King Ludwig II, known as the Fairy Tale King, reigned. Ascending to the throne in 1864, Ludwig found solace in art, music, and romantic idealism. He poured vast sums into constructing elaborate castles. Neuschwanstein became a symbol of Ludwig's reign. His neglect of royal duties and erratic behavior alarmed his advisors. In 1886, Ludwig was declared insane and deposed, dying under mysterious circumstances. Our journey takes us to Egypt, where King Farouk I reigned. Ascending to the throne in 1936, Farouk inherited a nation struggling against British colonialism. Instead of championing his people, Farouk indulged in extravagance. His reign was marred by corruption and incompetence. His lavish lifestyle fueled the flames of revolution. In 1952, a military coup led by Gamal Abdel Nasser overthrew Farouk. Farouk's legacy is a cautionary tale of a monarch's disconnect from their people. His story serves as a reminder that true leadership lies in serving one's people. Our journey takes us back to Russia, to the final days of the Romanov dynasty. Tsar Nicholas II, the last emperor of Russia, presided over a crumbling empire. Ascending to the throne in 1894, Nicholas clung to autocratic traditions. His reign was marred by missteps and tragedies. In 1917, after months of unrest, Nicholas II was forced to abdicate. His story serves as a tragic reminder of the power of societal change. Our penultimate journey takes us to the Central African Republic, where Jean Bédel Bokassa seized power. Bokassa crowned himself Emperor Bokassa I. Plunging his nation into a nightmare of extravagance and brutality, he transformed himself into a dictator, ruling through fear and intimidation. Obsessed with emulating Napoleon, Bokassa staged a lavish coronation in 1977. His reign became a byword for corruption and cruelty. In 1979, Bokassa was overthrown in a bloodless coup. His reign is remembered as a dark chapter in the history of the Central African Republic. Our final journey takes us to ancient China, where Qin Shi reigned. Qin Shi inherited an empire forged by his father, Qin Shi Huang. Ascending to the throne in 210 BC, Qin Shi was easily manipulated by corrupt officials. His reign was marked by paranoia, cruelty, and disastrous decisions. In 207 BC, Qin Shi was forced to commit suicide as rebel forces closed in. His death marked the end of the Qin dynasty. The stories of these 10 kings serve as stark reminders that power, when placed in the wrong hands, can be a destructive force. Their reigns left scars on their kingdoms and serve as cautionary tales for all who aspire to rule. True leadership requires wisdom, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to the welfare of the governed. May their stories serve as a lesson for future generations.